watching Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. And we are talking the latest from Minicamp as we got some injury news to go over, including what's going on with Tyrel Dodson, one of the newest members of your Seattle Seahawks. Big update on him coming up in just a bit. Jarran Reed, he has a new contract. We will explain what's going on with the Seahawks defensive lineman, what that means for him heading into 2024. We'll go over all of that coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, are you a diehard Seahawks fan who hates the San Francisco 49ers? If you are, like today's video. Let's stick it to the Niners, show them who's boss, why we have the best fans in the National Football League, in the NFC West. Just do your part. Make sure you bug a Niners fan today by liking today's video. I want at least 500 likes, nothing less, and we'll get started with today's show. The latest out of Minicamp, a lengthy injury report for the Seahawks of what has transpired over the last couple of weeks, and some of the things are new. Some of it is just a refresher of some of the injuries that occurred prior to minicamp. But let's catch you up to speed on where everything stands right now. Let's begin with Abraham Lucas, a knee injury. And the last update that we heard from head coach Mike Macdonald was that the knee injury is hard to tell right now. They hope to have him back before training camp, but that remains to be seen at this point, as he had offseason knee surgery, missed most of the 2023 campaign with that injury. We did hear Pete Carroll say that he thought that it was a chronic issue, so hopefully that gets taken care of. Anthony Bradford has been out for all of offseason activities to this point, dealing with an ankle injury, and the last we heard is that he remains out, that it could be a while before we see him back on the football field, but there's a great unknown with that. Jerome Baker had off-season wrist surgery, and Jerome Baker was not involved in any of the team activities so far to this point. Also a lower body injury. Both of those come from the end of last season with the Miami Dolphins, and he's expected to return in time for training camp, though, so that's the good news for Jerome Baker there. Meanwhile, Tyrel Dodson. That's where things get interesting. This is a new injury to the injury report, as Dodson has an undisclosed injury. The details are a little farce, if you will, as far as what is going on there, but we did hear that he's expected to have a return by training camp. Cam Young at the defensive tackle spot dealing with a lower body injury. He's expected to have an early return in training camp, not supposed to be a lingering issue, if you will. And then Michael Dickson, not around at Seahawks minicamp, but for good reason. He is absent with a wedding. Congrats to him going to Hawaii and getting hitched out there. So let's break these down piece by piece here for you. Number one, offensive line continues to be a concern for these Seahawks. Even with these guys healthy, it is a concern as far as what you're going to get out of these guys, and particularly the interior of the offensive line. And if Abraham Lucas is ever going to get right, that remains to be seen. But we're seeing other guys get the opportunity to compete, like Christian Haynes, for example, getting the opportunity to step up with these injuries on the O-line right now. Panic mode at the linebacker position right now. When you lose your top two linebackers, Dodson and Baker, and they're both not around at this point to learn this new defensive scheme that they're walking into, panic mode and a lack of depth at this position does not make things feel too good when it comes to the linebackers. Meanwhile, when it comes to Cameron Young, I'll say this. I know the Seahawks drafted him a couple of years ago, but with his lack of availability that we've seen, and with where the Seahawks have invested on the defensive line, I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks ultimately just cut their losses and move on from Cameron Young at this point with that lower body injury. Expected to be back, we mentioned, in time for training camp, but a missed opportunity for him potentially not being on the football field there in minicamp. And then with Michael Dickson, congrats to him. Smart move doing this during minicamp, his wedding. He knew exactly what he was doing. scheduling this wedding during minicamp. No need for him to be there necessarily as a punter. So an excused absence on his part. Congrats to him and his future wife on their wedding there in Hawaii going on right now. Let's ask you, what is your concern level with the Seahawks injury news? Where things stack up at this point here in minicamp, scale it for me 1 through 10. I don't feel great because they haven't even played a game yet, let alone got to training camp when we're already talking about 6 players on the injury report. My concern is pretty high. I'll go with about a 7.5. What do you guys think? Scale it for me in the comment section. Let us know. Father's Day just around the corner, and we got the perfect gift for Dad. It's not too late to get your hands on one of these Seahawks #1 dad shirts on sale now at chatsports.com/SeahawksDad. And although it's a Father's Day gift, these shirts are great for Dad to wear any time of year, especially at Lumen Field. Get it for your Seahawks dad, the #1 dad in your life. On sale now at chatsports.com/SeahawksDad. Might stumble upon some free shipping as well. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. That's chatsports.com/SeahawksDad. Let's move on now to a contract update for Jarran Reed. The Seahawks defensive lineman is getting a reworked deal, if you will, heading into the 2024 campaign. And let's go over the details here for you. His new salary is going to be $3.98 million. Previously, it was $3.96, so a pay bump of about $200,000 for Jarran Reed. A prorated signing bonus that remains the same at $1.5 million. Meanwhile, the 47/48-man game day bonus, that remains the same as well for Jarran Reed at $510,000. He also now receives a 53-man roster bonus. Previously did not have one. Now that goes to $510,000. And the cap hit goes up a bit for the Seahawks, as the number previously was 6.34. He'll now take out a cap hit of $6.47 million. So this cost the Seahawks a little bit of money by reworking this deal with Jarran Reed. But in a nutshell, what this means for the Seahawks is that they are taking $530,000 in incentives this year and converting that to base salary for Jarran Reed. So taking that a step further, what this means is that Reed is being rewarded with a slight raise heading into this year, and it's also signaling that he is a part of their plans for 2024. We told you a while back that there was some rumblings about him being a potential cut candidate for the Seahawks when they cut their roster down to 53. But you wouldn't make this deal if he wasn't going to be within your plans for this upcoming year. Jarran Reed is not going anywhere. Is that the right call by the Seahawks to keep Jarran Reed around, even with bringing in Byron Murphy and paying Leonard Williams and all that? I think it's the right move. What do you guys think? Why in the comment section, tell us what you think. Why for yes, in for no. Seahawks Today is bringing you daily news and rumors, as well as live shows, not just once but twice a week. We're doing our Madden Sims as well every Wednesday and Friday. And we also react to breaking news, mailbags, all of that. It's in one place. We are your off-season headquarters for all things Seattle Seahawks. If you're a real member of the 12s, you got to subscribe to the channel right now for free. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Never miss a moment. Join the family. Subscribe now. Now, the way I look at this, I like the idea of keeping Jarran Reed around and keeping him happy. What is his role going to be? That remains to be seen. We know that he started at the defensive tackle spot for Seattle last year, but he has experience playing defensive end as well. Whatever it is, whatever Mike Macdonald has in mind, he's still going to be a key contributor for this Seahawks team. A former second-round pick by Seattle out of Alabama back there in 2016. The Seahawks moved on from him. He went to Kansas City, went to Green Bay, and then came back for his second go-round last year. And what a very good year it was for Jarran Reed with 7 sacks in 16 starts. That was the highest number of sacks that he had in a single season since the 2019 campaign. And here's what we're talking about statistically for Jarran Reed, folks. 54 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. He was very consistent on the defensive line for Seattle last year, and you compare that to what he did those previous years. The last time he was with the Seahawks back in 2020, 6.5 sacks, only had 2.5 each in 2021 and in 2022. And now the Seahawks have depth in a position group that at one point in time was considered a weakness for Seattle. They got a number of options they can work with. Leonard Williams was the best player on the Seahawks defense in the second half of last year. You got Jarran Reed there, Byron Murphy, your first-round pick out of Texas. Jerome Jones is back. A lot of pressure on him coming off a disappointing season last year. The highest-paid player on the Seahawks defense. There's also talk about him playing outside linebacker. You still have Mike Morris. You bring in Jonathan Hankins from the Dallas Cowboys, who played under AD there in Dallas. And then Miles Adams and Cameron Young there is a possibility as well. The key for Jarran Reed, now knowing that he's going to be in Seattle for certain in 2024, is for him to improve when it comes to run defense. Look, we know the Seahawks are going to mix and match the 4-3 and the 3-4. They're going to throw a lot of stuff at you in this Mike Macdonald defense. And when you look at Jarran Reed, last season, he was pretty solid when it came to pass rush, a grade of 70.8. But the run defense, he was lacking. A 53 overall grade in run defense, which averaged out to a 63.5 overall grade. That's the assignment ahead for Jarran Reed heading into this year. And when you hear what he had to say about the Seahawks defense, Jarran Reed pretty excited about what Mike Macdonald's doing. He said, I think that they will use a lot of my talents a little bit more, moving me around a little bit more than I would have gotten multiple guys that can do that. That's the biggest change, not just having us being stationary. I think moving us around a bit, creating some mismatches for everybody along the way. And with Jarran Reed, this is a guy that is a veteran leader. When you look at the Seahawks defense, this changing of the guard, moving on from Bobby Wagner, Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, Jordan Brooks, Jarran Reed is one of the leading voices of this defense now. And part of the process, if you will, for Jarran Reed, the assignment is going to be kind of coaching up guys that he's playing alongside, particularly Byron Murphy, the Seahawks' first-round pick. And this is what Jarran Reed recently said about Byron Murphy. I love him. He's quiet. He works hard. It's the type of characteristics you look for in a rookie. He's going to be real good. I'm going to stay on him and help him out as much as I can because we're going to need him in the long run. I think he's going to be ready to answer the call. So then the question becomes who starts. We know Leonard Williams has got one of those spots, but the other spot's up for grabs at this point. Who do you think gets the edge? Does Jarran Reed hang on to a starting spot? Does the rookie Byron Murphy take hold? Or does the highest paid player on this defense, Jerome Jones, start on that defensive line? Let us know who you think starts. Type JR for Jarran Reed. Type BM for Byron Murphy. Type DJ for Jerome Jones. Let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed today's show, want to make a Niners fan mad, like today's video. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyrel Jones. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today.